Welcome to First Take. I'm Charlie, also known as Charlie Shot Me. This is a series where I'll be speaking with actors, filmmakers and creators about everything film, from the love of cinema to the craft itself. In this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Fabrizio Santino about his new release Jitters, which is now out on all digital platforms. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Here you go. In terms of your character, Detective Collymore, when I was watching it, I feel like he had a really old school kind of detective energy where he trusts his instinct over anything else. Were there any detective films or performances you looked at when shaping his character?
So I was watching Bill Pullman in The Sinner, and he had an old school approach to his work ethic, and he was also suffering with health issues like Detective Collymore was.
Yeah.
And when I read the part, I was like, okay, this reminds me of that, and I really loved that series. And yeah, I think that I didn't base my performance on something else that I'd seen. I kind of, I just took my own approach to it, my
Yeah.
own style of acting. But I think it was a pretty old school method. And also, we're not in a world that we're familiar with here. We're not in London. We're not in America. We're in a whole different world called Prism. And
Mm.
so I had license to kind of to do that, to make these little decisions, these choices.
That was one of the things that I really picked up on, which that that was the main thing that for me, the most unsettling thing that I found about the film was that the threat wasn't human at all.
Mm.
And as an actor, how do you play scenes against something that has no humanity behind it? How did you kind of process that in your scenes?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, luckily for me, the guy that played the clown, he played it in front of me in real life.
Mm.
Okay, so we were in an empty studio, a blacked out studio with very few lights on us, and it was just me and him. So therefore, when I was acting and reacting alongside Daniel, I had him there present in real
Mm.
life. So that wasn't so bad, right? But when I had to act to a laptop that was completely um, void, there was
Yeah.
nothing on the screen. I just had to imagine how Daniel would kind of treat me in this scene, and how he would how he would play his text. Therefore, I'm like, okay, I know my text, I understand my words, I understand this scene. I'm angry, I'm curious, I've got this thing that I don't quite
Mm.
understand. This is how I'm going to play my dialogue, and so therefore that was challenging, but not as challenging as having him in
Yeah.
real life next to me with all these quirks and.
Yeah, I can imagine. And in terms of the AI itself, the first thing that I thought in terms of when I was watching it, it reflects people's fears back to them. If the AI scanned your brain, what do you think that it would reflect back to you?
Yeah,
What?
I think I would be so anxious, man.
Mhm.
I think if I was cyber attacked by something AI, I think I would not sleep at all.
Yeah.
If this cyber attacker, if he hacked into my conversations or whatever, then I would panic. I would definitely be anxious. I would definitely lose sleep. I would always be thinking about it, and because I can't beat it physically,
Mm.
I think that would get me even more, because I can't see it, I can't feel it, I can't
Mm.
touch it, I can't stop it. So I would feel powerless. I would feel useless, and most definitely anxious for sure.
The main things that I kind of took away from it was kind of how Collymore seemed more relaxed in his scenes with Harding. When you were building the character and working with the other actor who played Harding,
Mm, mm.
did you think about their history beforehand in terms of the police and kind of the events that happened prior to the film taking place?
I think it helps when you get to know. I think it helps when you know someone, right, and you get on with
Mm.
someone. And Anto and I, we're friends, off screen. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
when Anto is new in the acting world, and I said to him, listen, let's hang out, let's read together, let's rehearse together, let's find this chemistry, and we just have a natural chemistry on
Mm.
and off screen. And I, he didn't need me to hold his hand. He bless him. He was very brave and played the part very naturally, and he was very believable, and that was enough for me. I mean, I'm much more experienced in film than Anto, but I felt very relaxed that he was solid. He knew exactly what he was doing. I didn't need to kind of guide him. If I felt that he needed, you know, some help, I kind of reeled him back in, but that
Yeah.
was very, very few times, and I trusted him. And I think ultimately, Charlie, it's down to your chemistry, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can be very unlucky in film when you are playing along someone and there is no chemistry. It's very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same with the director Marc Zammit? Because this is your second collaboration with him now. Third.
Third,
Damn.
third, third. Again, I trust Mark's. Um, I trust where he goes in his head as a film director. I trust his decisions and his choices when he rings me up. He says, "Fab, I've got a film.
Mm.
I'd like you." I don't say yes to every project because every project's not always for me, or it doesn't suit my energy or my strengths. But he came to me with this one, and he said, "I've got something for you, which I think you're going to love." Um, and I said, "Okay, well, let me read it." And we sat down and we got together creatively, and he was very generous with my creative input, and we created Collymore. Collymore wasn't always an American character. He
Mm.
started off as a British character, but we created him together. We were both in this process together, and from start to finish, we had artistic differences on set, but that's just because sometimes you're up against it with time
Yeah.
and stuff. But apart from that, a very generous director. Again, I have chemistry with him on screen and off screen. We got on very, very well, and he's very pleased. He's very proud, as am I. And I've got a lot of love for him, and I think that he is climbing up
Mm.
very quickly and very high. And before you know it, Mark will be probably directing films for Blumhouse. You know what I mean? You never know. So I wish nothing but the best for everyone that makes independent film. If you're good, if you're clever about it as well, you can reach the heights of
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yeah. And when I was watching it, kind of the paranoia that it gave me, and as a film lover myself, I was kind of thinking, what other things are very similar to this? And what if I was watching a double bill in an evening, what film would I watch for this? So I was just wondering, if you was doing a double bill in the evening and you had jitters, what would you pair it with? I kind of thought like I thought it kind of paired well with depends if you want to go on a really chaotic evening. I thought
Yeah.
the latest Smile film kind of wraps you in that paranoia of something you can't see.
Yeah. What would
Um,
it be yours? What would yours be?
if I wanted to go on the same wavelength, I would go Smile. That I think that would ruin my evening.
Okay.
Um, but I'd probably need some like When Harry Met Sally afterwards to kind of chill me out a bit and bring me down.
Well,
'Cause-
you know what's funny, Charlie, is this is a psychological horror, right? This isn't like a stab
yeah,
film. You don't see monsters and paranormal things happening. This is more psychological drama, where you're just trying to work out what's happening. I think that if I was to watch something after that can chill me out, I'd probably watch something like Friends, maybe. Anything like family vibes, or like a I don't know, like a love story or anything like
yeah,
that. Do you know what I mean? Um, but if I had to kind of, I said it in a previous interview. If I had to choose a film that was of similar, or I would probably go for like a Judge Dredd or a Minority Report or something like that.
yeah. I watched it early in the morning on a Sunday, so I was very glad I had a cup of coffee afterwards, and then to get on with my day.
But
Um,
did you think it was that scary? Were you scared?
the
Did you jump?
ending the not I wasn't really scared by the horror elements. The
Mm.
ending got me the most.
Mm.
In term because your character goes through all the trials and tribulations that even at the end, no matter what you do, kind of the technology is still powerful and there in the background.
And you can't kill
And
it.
yeah, and you can't kill it, and it just lives on, and that for me was the scariest part. And I watched it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
that's a very fair point.
and when the credits rolled, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have to carry on with them. I'm
I,
gonna
I,
turn my
I
phone off
think
for
that
a
I think
bit.
the scary thing is about that is that what if you were cyber attacked?
Yeah,
What if you were hacked? What if you were? What would you do if you're not technology savvy? If you're not technology forward? You know what? Who would you call? What would you do in that time?
yeah,
It does make you think. You know,
yeah. It
maybe I should double check my phone. Maybe I should double verify all my accounts. Maybe I should sort of like put a pin on everything. You know what I mean?
Along that lines of that conversation, do you think technology is already understanding us a little too well? Because our algorithms are all adapted to us. I kind of wanted to know your kind of thought process on that.
Yeah, it's scary, man. It's a very scary times. You know, as much as AI can help us with, with working things out a lot quicker. Like if you're trying to draft a letter, if you're trying to, work something out, or if you need a recipe or whatever, and you can chat, type it into Chat GBT. That's great, but it's also very scary when things are advancing very, very quickly, and they know more than we know, and they're quicker than we can use our brain. That's what I question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to mankind? And I think it's a very fair point. What is going to happen to mankind? What
Yeah,
is going to happen to us in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time? And they're not. It's not emotional. It's not. It's soulless. So it's like, we'll see. We just have to keep an eye on it, I guess, Charlie.
yeah, yeah. I think so as well. But I'm trying not to get too scared, but it is what it
It
is,
is
isn't it?
scary. It is. It
Yeah.
is scary for sure.